Hello, so good morning. It's my first time in India. So I traveled from Delhi to Mumbai, and now today I'm in Pune. So, and I think, can you hear me without? Yes? Okay, I try it because I need my hands. So I brought my book. You know, read this one. It's one in the middle. It's apple cake and baklava. But because I'm German, I wrote it in German. So you say anybody for German can read it in German. Okay? It's called in German Apfelkuchen. It's you. You can read it. It's Apfelkuchen and Baklava. Apple cake means Apfelkuchen. It's the same title as in English. And as well, we have another one. License goes to another country. Has anybody an idea which language this is?
It's Thai.
Sorry?
Thailand?
No, it's not Thailand. No, it's further to Europe. Okay, has anybody an idea? All right. Okay, sorry. Okay, I didn't get that now. Who said something? Sorry? Yeah, it comes closer. It's Slovenia. So, and I can't read it. And I think the reason is the story is situated in about 2013, 14, 15. It's the time the war in Syria made a lot of people just leaving their home place, and just a lot of them went on the way to Europe. And we call it Balkan route. They took the way right through Slovenia. So I think that's the reason why a small publisher took this book with a theme that a Syrian family, or part of a Syrian family, came over to Europe. That's where the story is about. So here you can see it's really far away from Syria to Germany, and it's also a more far away from Germany to Pune. So this is only just to get an idea how long the way is. And you see, they all went over the Mediterranean Sea, or they walked over just by foot through this, we call it Balkan route. So, and now I would love to go ahead with the two main persons in the book. They are called Max and Layla. But we have also one important, let's say, person in the book, and that is this. Has anybody an idea what it is? You know. What is it? It's a walnut, yes. And in this book, in this story, the walnut is not only a walnut. It's a farewell present. It's a present from Layla's grandma. Her grandma is still in Syria. Her dad is still in Syria because her grandma is sick. She's in hospital. And Layla flew with her mom and her two brothers up to Germany. So in all the way through, she had this farewell present out of the garden from her granny in her pocket. And this is an important thing for her, a very important thing. So, and on the other hand, we have not only Layla, we have a boy, and it's a German boy. He's called Max. He lives in a small village close to a small town, and he's the one who is connecting to Layla. I was told when I start to tell a story from a Syrian girl, because it's a German book, to start with a German boy. So it's like everybody could see, oh, I know how a German boy would live. And then I could go on and offer the audience, let's say, a strange life. But first you start with something you knew. So for you, Max is also like, has a strange life because he's in Germany, but it's a German book, so I think we handle it for the start. So, because it's easier to read bigger letters, and with some notes, I read out of my notes and not out of the book, but it's the same. So we start with Max on a Monday morning, and in November. in the end of November. Has anybody an idea what the weather is like in Germany at the end of November? Yes, please. Yes, it's really cold. We have about 3 degrees. Yes, it's cold. And when I left home, it started snowing. So it's cold and it's not as nice as here. Today is Monday. It's one of those Mondays when you just can't get out of bed, when a long week of school days looms ahead and the gloomy, damp November morning light creeps under the curtain into your room. Max rolls over in bed again. Then he hears footsteps on the stairs. He squashes his pillow into a big ball and buries his face in it. Then the bedroom door opens. Max? His mom sticks her head around the door. Max, it's time to get up now. Shortly afterwards, Max sits down at the long kitchen table with his parents. He sips his cocoa while looking out of the window. Their tabby cat scampers across the yard in front of the large barn. A mouse dangling from her mouth. The cobblestones glisten with the rain that fell in the night. The wind has swept a heap of yellow sycamore leaves between the harrow and the old trailers parked under the canopy. And just to get an idea how a German farm could look like, I clicked a picture and next to my home place, and you see this. They are bricks and they are wooden crosses around. This is typical for the part of Germany where I'm from. It's in the more the north, and this is a summer photo. In autumn we have yellow leaves or brown or sometimes red ones, but that's how it could look like in Max's home place. Nearly finished breakfast, Max's mom is getting up from the table. Max, I'm going to be a bit late home from work every day this week. My colleagues on holiday have already told Granny. She puts Max's sandwich in a bag and places an apple next to it on the work surface. Don't forget your morning snack today, she says to Max, stroking his head. Then she pours herself and Max's father some more coffee. Oh, I won't, Max promises, glancing at the clock above the stove. Oh, so late already. Why does time always rush by so fast in the morning? He washes the rest of his bread down with a large glug of cocoa and dashes out of the kitchen. A few minutes later, with a school bag in his hand, Max pulls the heavy door closed behind him. His sandwich and his apple are still on the worktop, where they have a nice and quiet morning not being eaten. And it's cold outside. It's autumn in the air, with a smell of damp leaves and mud. Max's bike is in his workshop, the old shed next to the barn. The hinges creak softly as he pulls open the green wooden door. Granny's sheep in the field look up. So here we have Granny's sheep, and Granny's house is on the farmyard. And in Germany, on a farm, usually when you give the farm to the next generation, the younger ones, the elderly people will move out of the house and they get into a smaller house on the farmyard. So this is the place where the granny from Max is living. So she's really close to him and she is really important for him. Max puts his school in the basket and wheels the bike out through the door. It's a blue men's bike with a bent handlebar and a real big front lap. And this is the bike. You see it on the front cover. As he cycles past his granny's house, she's just opening the back door to let the cat in. The cat has neatly presented the mouse on the doormat and is calling for her owner with a meow. Wait, Max, Granny calls and goes into the house followed by the mewing cat. Max coasts up to the house. He really needs to pedaling. He drums his finger on the handlebar grips. Then Granny comes out again. Here, she says, handing Max 2 muesli bars. First break, second break, she smiles. Oh, thanks, Granny, says Max. Then he hits his forehead with his hand. Oh, no. and he realizing what he's done. Oh, I've forgotten my sandwich again. Mum is going to get really annoyed with me. Oh, well, said Granny, it's only a Monday. So just a little bit annoyed, I'm sure. She bends down and stroked the mewing cat. But we have got a baking date next week. You won't forget that, will you? Oh, no. Max shakes his head and grins. Making Lebkuchen is a matter of honor. And I think perhaps you know what Lebkuchen is? It looks like, oh, wrong direction. Here we have Lebkuchen. It's a special German cake or sweets you usually do at Christmas time. First they get out of the oven like that, and then if you are successful with the decorating, they look like that. When you're not as successful, then they look a little bit different. Yes. So he said making Lebkuchen is a matter of honor. He hastily shoves the cereal bars into his school bag and pedals off. At the gate to the farmyard, he turns around again and shouts, "Oh, bye, Granny, and thank you." Then he sets off along the bike path towards school. And he thinks, I'd been a mess if there weren't for Granny. So this is the first part. And now we see another Monday morning, or it's the same Monday morning, but the Monday morning from Layla is a different one. You see, she also slow to get up on this Monday morning. She's still asleep. Her bed is in a small, narrow loft room with a sloped ceiling. There's a colorful rug beside her bed. A few pieces of furniture huddled together awkwardly like strangers. They don't really go together. An old kitchen table as a desk, a chest of drawers painted bright green, a chair, and a pale flowery armchair with the clothes Layla will wear today neatly folded on it. A few of Layla's drawings are fixed with pins to the wall above the chest of drawers. One picture is of the Syrian flag. One is of a large tree in a lush garden. One is of a bakery. Her father has a bakery in Damascus. One is someone in a bed and it looks like a hospital. And one has just a tiny dark spot in the middle of an entire sheet filled with blue. So in this looked like that. And if you write a story, or if I wrote this story, it's a puzzle. I picked up stories from people I talked with. I picked up stories from the newspaper. And this painting I picked up in, it's a kind of a museum, and they had showed a lot of paintings from children which flew with their families or on their own from Syria. And I took this photo, and I think it's more than words could say. So, and that's the reason why this painting comes into the book. A pale yellow curtain hangs in front of the window. Thought it's too thin to keep out the gloomy morning light of a damp November. Layla? A voice reached her in bed. It's her mom, Aisha. Layla turns around in sleep. Her hand clenches in a fist, now hangs over the edge of the bed. She sighs, and then something falls from her fist, dropping onto the middle of the brightly colored rug. It's something small, round and bumpy. It's a walnut. Layla? Her mom's come into the room. She pulls across the yellowed curtain, sits down on her bed, and strokes her hair. Just as she is about to speak, she spotted something on the rug. She smiles, picks it up, and looks at it. She gazes at it until Layla opens her eyes, sits up, and takes it out of her hand with a reproachful look. "Oh, today we are having a fresh start," said Mom purposefully. "And when are Dad and Grandma Amina finally going to come?" Layla asks sleepily. "Soon." Ayla presses her lips together tightly. "Very soon, I hope." And then she tries to smile. But come on, time to get up. Today's your first day in the new school. Layla frowns and looks at her mom. Oh, please, could I start tomorrow? No, today. We are here to stay, I hope. So it will be this school for longer. And if everything goes well, you'll be here until you finish school. So work hard for your studies. Daddy will be proud of you. She nods to Layla, stands up, and leaves the room. Layla sits on the side of her bed for a moment, and then she opens her hand and she says, "Dear Grandma," she whispers. "Good morning, dear Grandma, please help me again. Mom says we are here to stay, and today I'm starting at another new school, but this time I might stay here perhaps until I finish." And when she dresses, she tucks the walnut into her trousers pocket as always. So now we get known the two protagonists, and I would like to ask you if you could tell me something, what you have heard or what you just get, what you know about Max. Is there anybody who could tell me something? Just a word. You don't have. Yes, please. Great.
Max likes to share his feeling with her dad.
Yes, really good. Yes, he loves his granny and she's important for him. Yes. Anybody? Yes, please.
He's forgetful.
Yes, he is forgetful. Yes. And his mom is getting annoyed of him. Yes. Another one. Okay, yes, please.
Max is a bike.
Yes, Max has a bike, and the bike is important for him. Yes, it's true. So here we go. And we have, that way. No. Okay, and there's Layla. Is anybody who could tell me something about Layla? Yes, please.
She's planning to go for a new school.
Yes, she has to go in a new school, and we all know it's a horrible moment, is it? Yes. Anybody else yes, please.
She's homesick.
She's what?
Homesick.
Yes, she is homesick. That is important. There was somebody else in the back with a yellow skirt. Yes, please tell me. No? Okay. Yes. And she has this treasure in her pocket, and this is the walnut. So we go ahead a little bit. The treasure in her pocket, the walnut, is, we call it in German, Glücksbringer. Has anybody an idea what a Glücksbringer is? Yes, please. What? A what? Sorry, no. One luck. Walnut. The walnut is her Glücksbringer, yes. But what means the word, it's right, sorry. What means the word Glücksbringer? Has anybody an idea? Yes, please. No, but it's all fine. Okay, I tell you what. This is really funny now. If you put the G away and the 2 points on the Y, yes, what is it? It's a luckbringer. So here we are really close between German and English. And I would love to go ahead with this with you, because there are some words written on the top here, and it's written in German and in Arabic. But you see, it's really close. It's a walnut, you all know, and in German we would say Walnuss. So you could try your first German word, Walnuss. Yes, it's a walnut. And then we go ahead, and we have school, you all know school, and in Germany it's Schule. So you could try Schule. Yes. And so we have the next one. It's called garden. And in Germany it's with a strong T. It's Garten. So you could try Garten. So you get some German words today. And we have another one. It's the home place. And in German it's Heimat. Heimat, yes. Heimat is something in your heart. Yeah. And then we have grandmother. And in German as well, with the hard T, we have Großmutter. Großmutter. Yes. So it's really close. And we have something else. We have friend. And in German, we make a difference if it's a male friend or a female friend. The female one gets an en at the end. So we have Freundin. Freundin. And for the male one, we have Freund. Freund. You see, it's really close. If you see it written, it's nearly the same. Only the pronouncing makes a difference. So we have them all. If you want, we could just go ahead again together. It's Großmutter, Walnuss, Freundin, Schule, Garten, Freund, Heimat. Oh, this is so lovely. I get the hair standing up on the, yes. So, and how do I get the idea to write this book? I think one main part is my own family history. It's after the Second World War, Europe changes, the borders changes, and a lot of, let's say, German people in the area today is Poland were just leaving their home place. So let's say it's shortly like that. So my grand-grandpa and my grand-grandma, they as well came over this way to the western, or the today Germany. So it's something in my background as well. And when I started in the beginning, at the time of the Syrian war started, it's still on, a lot of Syrian people were coming, and they were coming really by feet over the motorway. They slept somewhere, and they have been on boats over the Mediterranean Sea, and some of them really arrived and perhaps get a new place to live or just find friends. And so, why I started to create the story, I talked to a lot of refugees, girls and boys, and they had this class to learn German in my home place. And the one story I put in the book as well, because it was the one who touches me perhaps mostly. It was the story of Sama. Sama was on such a boat with her whole family, and they went over the Mediterranean Sea, and the Frontex boat was coming. This is the boat where the Europe just is watching out at its borders. So they picked up all these families from this really old boat, and they all went over to the Frontex boat. They're all safe. And then at the moment, Summer turns round and looks at the old boat, and it makes gluk gluk, gluk gluk, and it goes apart, and about 2, 3, 4 minutes later, the boat was gone. The boat where they have been on 5 minutes, 10 minutes before. So, and I think these are all these small stories. I don't want them to go away or just be forgotten. So they are in the book as well. So, and what Leila leaves behind, these are 2 illustrations out of the book from Franziska Harvey, and I really love them a lot. It's the bakery. You really could smell it, I think, with this. It's so lovely. It's her beloved father, and it's the garden of her granny, and you see a basket of walnuts, and this is her memory, you see. Yeah. So, and you do not do such a big story without the help, and I had a help in Germany. I applied for to be part of it's called Academy for Children's Media, up there where the dots are, and it's like a school for authors. You apply with your project or your idea or your story, and then you get help for about 3/4 of a year, and you have courses, and they help you. And I think without this, I think there would be no book. So, and there are just some impressions. It's like we study together, we read together, we listen together, we play together, we play theater as well. And you see on the bottom, on the left side, and we celebrate together when everything was finished. So, and these are some ideas from, these are the main characters of the story. You have got known Max and Layla. Jette will come up. She's something like the hinge. She brings both of them together, and we have these both grannies. And that is, I first wanted to show you this, because this is easy. And this is my idea when I started to create this story. This is just, there are a lot of German words, but this is how I get the idea to get all the figures around and everything. So just, you get an idea how it could work. I think that every author would do it a little bit different. But this is my map, my story map. So, and now I would love to go ahead with the next part of the story. So we have Max and Layla. They get up this Monday morning, they get into school, and because it's a story, they're both in the same class, sure. And it's this horrible moment, the door opens, Layla is standing there, and everybody is looking at her. It's horrible, yes. And then she's happy to sit down next to Jette. But who do you think is sitting behind her?
Max.
Yes, it's Max. And there's one main point, and it's as well a story of, if you're an author, you could give your figures something you love. And you see, I'm European, I have this tiny, little bit blonde hair, has been blonde, now it's gray. And what I really love is dark hair, and what I love more is dark hair with a plait like you have. It's just something oh my God, I would love to have. So, it won't work. And so I give Layla a plate like you have, and I give Max the fascination of a plate. So she's sitting down, and he's just looking at her, looking at this hair, looking at this plate, and he's lost. So he's kindly a little bit falling in love just at the first second. So he's interested. He's interested to look at her. He's interested who she is. But Layla is on her own. She's with her walnut, and she's just she's staying with her heart still in Syria. So she goes to school, but she's not really arrived where she now is. So, and in this first week of school, on the Friday, she feels really sick, and she falls down and was just gone for a second in the middle of the hall, really horrible as well. But now we have a chance for Max. He's at the fire brigade, and he is really good in first help, in Erste Hilfe, yes. So, and he goes ahead helping her, really good. And when she just comes back and she's sitting there, she starts like looking everywhere, and then she starts crying because there's something gone out of her pocket. What do you think? What she's, the walnut, yes. So she's losing her walnut, and she's crying and crying and crying, and nobody could stop her. Her mom was called to come in, and her mom took her home, and she's crying. She's looking around at home. Perhaps she had forgotten it in the morning, and it's really a bad Friday for her. And on Monday on school, she started to search everywhere in school, just behind, in every corner, behind everything, under every curtain, but she can't really find it. And on the other hand, she has something in her pocket on the Monday, on this new Monday, and it's a paper bag with mamouls. Mamouls are these kind of really lovely sweets from Syria, or you can get them in Turkey as well. There's pistachio and walnut inside, and they are very sweet and lovely. And Aisha gave them to Layla and said, okay, this boy, he helped you, and you have to say thank you. Give him the paper bag with the mamouls. And she said, oh no, I don't want to. He's looking at me all the time. I don't know why. So why do I have to get contact to him? I don't want to. So, but because it's her mom, and because she will do. So we're here at the moment. She turns around, sitting in front of him, and she said, oh, here, it's for you. Layla is laying the paper bag on the desk behind her. Max looks at the bag, surprised. Well, thanks. Then he accidentally knocks his pencil case off the desk with his bag. His pens and pencils all split out onto the floor. Oh no, he crouches down to pick them up. Layla looks at him, unsure what to do. Hesitantly, she picks up one pen from her feet and puts it on the desk next to the paper bag. She wants to get out of here as quickly as possible. With the last 3 pens in his hand, Max straightens up, shrugs his shoulders and smiles nervously at Layla. What is it? Pointing at the paper bag. Oh, my mum wanted me to give them to you, Layla answers. Because your help at Friday, she says I should thank you. Oh no, this was nothing, Max said, and stuffs his full pencil case into his school bag. I'm in the fire cadet, first aid and all this sort of thing. Well, the other day we had a nice party and whatever, he's just talking because he's nervous. And Layla is already out in the corridor when she can hear he's still talking. Max catches up with her again just before she reaches the hall. He pops a mamoul in his mouth and is trying to put on his jacket while he's walking. Jim, this is really lovely. From Syria? No, it's from a shop in Hanover. Layla is speeding up with her footstep. If he only would leave her alone. Max had trouble keeping up with her, especially because he got tangled up in his jacket sleeve and the scrap of his school bag. Oh yeah, this was a stupid question, he said. Then he stamps along beside her, his sleeve now completely tangled up. How long have you been in Germany? Oh, nearly a year, Layla murmurs. Why doesn't he just go? He can't even put his jacket on properly. And do you like it here? Layla looks at him. Her eyes narrow. He stooks, completely tangled up in his jacket and bag. He swears at himself and stops to put his bag down and starts again. Layla also stops, standing 2 steps far away from him. She doesn't really know what to think about this boy. He seems somehow quite nice, but also a bit strange. Oh, I like it a bit, maybe, she answers finally, watching him free himself from his bag strap and sort out his sleeve. Oh, that's better now. Max smiles at Layla and puts the last mamoul in his mouth. Then he slips back into his jacket, and this time it works. When he finally reaches out for his bag, he asks, and where were you looking for today? Layla freezes. Was he watching her? Max aims at a nearly bin with the empty scrunched up paper bag. Yes, he said triumphantly when it goes in. Then he looks at Layla. Her face is rigid. Were you watching me? She sounds really angry. Well, I couldn't help noticing. Without another word, Layla turns around and storms off. Max watches her walk away and frowns. What happened? He only asked what she was looking for. At break time, she was walking around school strangely, looking everywhere, behind all the benches, under all the curtains. Hey, wait! I can help you if you want. To his great surprise, Layla suddenly stops. She turns around and wipes her sleeve across her eyes, which look a bit red. Then she reaches out for a places it over the shoulder and grasps it, all as thought steadying herself with it. Yum, Max stammers. Honestly, I know the school inside out. Layla presses her lips together and stares at the gleaming grey floor tiles. Then she slowly raises her head. What sort of thing is it? Something valuable? Max finds himself asking, although he straight away senses that it would have been wise to keep his mouth shut. My nut, Layla gulps. She has tears in her eyes. I've lost my walnut. You can't help me. Nobody can. Then she turns around, pushes herself against the heavy door of the main entrance and runs away without turning back. So, a nut? Max gazes after her. The place goes up and down while Layla is running away. But what could be so special about a nut that she would cry about it? So you know, I think. Yeah, but he didn't know yet. So we'll see what is going on. Yes. And before I start reading a little bit more, I would love to ask you, if you still know these German words, what is it? Is it Walnuss? Perfect. It's not the Schule. And what is this? Garten. Perfect. Yes. And this is Großmutter. Really good. Yes, it is. It's not a walnut. Yes. And this is Freund. Yes. Freund. Yes. Perfect. So we have them here again. Garten, Freundin, Freund, Schule, Großmutter, Heimat, and the important one, Walnuss. Okay, so you have your first German words perhaps. Some of you will perhaps know some more. So, and now I would love to come back to this Academy of Children's Media again, because as you heard before, I'm agriculture engineer. So I worked on a farm. I studied agriculture, and I started writing for my children. And being at the Academy for Children's Media was like the point where I asked myself, oh, why didn't I study something else about theater or dramatic or whatever? Because it was so amazing. It opened up a new world for me. So, and what I would love to try now, usually I do it on a whiteboard. So today I try it to do it on PowerPoint, so we get it. This is the end of explanation. This is called a 3-act model. It's a way how to explain how a story goes from the beginning to the midpoint, up and down, and then to the end. And I try now, and I hope it will work, I try now to explain it here. So we have a main person. Perhaps we just call her she now, so it's a her, a female one. And we first see her in her usual world. And so if you all know Disney movies, so perhaps have the Disney movie you love the most just in your back head, because this formula works on every Disney movie. So you can see. So first we have the hero, the main person, and we see, okay, this is her world, but something is missing. It could be a friend. It could be a lost walnut. It could be, no, it could, in this part it's the granny, it's not the walnut yet. And it could be somebody who wants to have a partner in a love story. So, and then it goes ahead and we see what is missing in his or her life. And then we have the point where there comes an offer, a letter, an invitation, something comes up, and the hero has to make a decision. And this part, the second arrow, is important to show that the hero has to make a hard decision. You have to realize that making the decision and saying yes to the invitation will change his or her life. So it's a hard way to make the decision. He has a hard time, and then he says, okay, yes, I do. I go for it. I go for the invitation. Whatever. And then the story goes up in two steps. It goes further, and you see, okay, let's say there's somebody who wants to have friends, and then he gets an invitation to a birthday party, and he said, oh, I'm shy. I would love to go, but I'm shy because there are so many invited, and I do not feel really good with it. And then one day he says, okay, I will go. I go for it. And then perhaps on the next steps, he got known somebody who's also invited. Everything seems to go really good, and then perhaps he goes over to the main point, and he's going to buy a present, and he's really happy that it will be a nice party, and it's really good. And at the midpoint, the the point of in German we call it the highest point or the best point of the story. This point is the foreshadowing. So it means there is a shadow up to the end. At the midpoint you can see what will go on. So in a love story perhaps they will kiss the first time. So you can see, perhaps at the end they might be a couple. So and at this point with the birthday invitation, he has a present, and perhaps he meets somebody at the shop where he's buying the present, and perhaps the one who the present is for, he invited her. So it's a real good moment, and you think, okay, they're gonna be friends. But if the story would go like that, you would be bored. So after the most loveliest moment in the movie or in the book, you will have a crash. Everything will go wrong. In a love story, perhaps she will see him hugging another woman and she didn't know it's his sister. And perhaps in this story with the invitation to the birthday party, it might be that she would listen to a telephone call where the other person would say, oh yes, my mom said I had to invite her, so everything's broken, it's gone. So and then it goes down, but it's not only going down to the let's say area you have been before. It's going worse. It's going back to the cellar. It's the most horrible moment for the hero. It's where all the greatest fear comes up. Let's say staying alone forever, never having friends. It's just the most horrible moment. But then the hero remembers the whole way he or she is going through from there up to the beginning, and he or she is noticing that she or he has learned a lot and has, let's say, put things in her or his pocket which help. And then it comes up. She says, okay, and I go to the party and it will be great. And there we have, in Germany we call it the climax. You have in an American movie, it's the moment of the big, great speech where you say, oh yes, and I wanted to say to you what I ever wanted to say. And so this is the moment. In an action movie, it's a big fight. In a love story, it's the moment when he realizes, oh my God, I love her. And then he's trying to get the next tuk-tuk, trying to get to Pune airport, and then he's at the doors and tries, oh, just no, don't go to the plane. Yes, and this is the moment where it's all like it's an explosion and you are really happy about, okay, the story is nice and it will have a good end. And being an author, it's important then to get the last stories told. So if there's somebody around before, you have to tell the stories of all the figures which are surrounding the main person. So if you just close the book or you leave the movie, you know, okay, all is fine. It's not allowed to forget anybody. So in this I've learned. You see, I'm an agriculture engineer, and I've learned it and I love it. And what is really lovely is, if a movie is really good, I forget what I know. It's like it's in my head, but if a movie is really lovely, you don't think about the formula. You just go with it. So this is what I learned, and I really love it, and it's really a good way to write a story or to go ahead. So, and because I told you this now, because the next part of the story I want to read is about the midpoint and the moment it crashes. So we go ahead with the scenery. 5 minutes, okay, so I have to hurry up. Okay, then I will tell you. They go ahead, and Layla said, okay, yes, you can help me. So they both go around school, they look under every curtain everywhere and try to find the walnut, but they won't. And he's inviting her at home to his granny, and they really fit. It's really a nice afternoon. And then Max has an idea and said, okay, we haven't looked in all the bins at school. So they looked at all the bins, they're all empty, and said, yes, they're all emptied in the huge container at the sports field. So they go to the sports field, look in the container is empty. So Leila is really, really sad. So sad that Max had a hard time just to get her in a better mood. And so I love to read to you what he said. Then they go back from the container back to the front of the sports field, and because she's so in such a bad mood, he said, container, yes, here we go. So he said to her, okay, just have an idea. If you don't find your nut, you could write your grandma a postcard. Oh, this war in Syria. So you couldn't ask her to send a new walnut, no. Or the post is not working. Or when you Skype, you could ask her, or you could ask her dad, and he turns red. Oh dear, he knows that Leila hasn't spoken to her granny for a long time. What is he going on about? Or he continues trying to get himself out of the hole he's dug. Or you could go there and get a new one. He stops. What did he just say? Oh, no, this is much too dangerous and it's expensive, and no, I think you can't, but it's one idea, it's one option. And he looks down at his feet on the grass and rubs his hand on his jeans, and then he finally dares to say it. He's finally ready to say her what he's wanted to tell her for ages. Hesitantly and quietly, almost to himself, he started. Leila, if you can't find it, you're not, you can have me instead. Instead of your walnut. And because he senses he's blushing even redder than before, he stuffs his hand deep into his trousers pockets and goes on. Well, you could have me as a friend? He breathes out. He still doesn't dare to look up. I can't listen. I can listen, I can help, and well, it hasn't worked out so far with your walnut, but actually, usually, I'm really good in helping. He nods. I can't speak Arabic, but it's not so bad because you can speak brilliant German. He tries to smile and finally looks up cautiously. He's at the gate of the sports field. But where's Leila? Irritated, Max looks around. There she is, in the middle of the sports field, watching Max. Then she laughs, runs, and bounces over the gate. She turns her face to him on the other side. Her whole face is radiant. Max hardly dares to breathe. To Syria, Leila whispers. That would be amazing. Back to Grandma to get a new walnut. Max's mouth drops open. She didn't even hear him out? She stopped and stood there while he is talking about Syria? No. His smile disappears very gradually, a bit like a balloon shrinking smaller and smaller as the air escapes. So in this moment, I would love to ask you, who thinks she's going to Syria? Yes, you think she will go, she will leave. And who thinks she won't? Yeah, it's okay. It's something in the middle. She will start, and at the main station she will meet the grandma from Max, and the grandma from Max will take her home to her home place and say, what's wrong with you, what's happened, why you are not in school? And they have tea together and they tell each other their stories. Leila is telling the story from the lost walnut, and the grandma of Max is telling the story when she was fluing being a child. So they are really close. And in this moment, Max came home. He's from school, and he's just in the beginning of the house, and he's just listening what they are talking. But he's not on his own. This day, he went to the secretary to ask, where's my friend Leila? I miss her. She's not in school today. And then he was looking in the box of sweets, and in the middle of the box of sweets in the secretary, the walnut is in. Because one of the women cleaning the school was finding the walnut and putting it there. So he takes it out, puts it in his pocket, standing in the house from his granny, and he's listened to the story, and he realized the story from his grandma he didn't know. And then he has to hear that Layla is saying, okay, I heard my parents talking, and my dad said to my mom, oh, okay, when I leave Syria, I don't want to go to Germany. We all go to Canada because I have a cousin. I don't want to stay in Germany. And Layla said to Granny Gertrude, okay, I won't leave Germany without my nut. So Max had a hard problem now. If he gives it to her, she will leave. And if he puts it in his pocket, she will be sad. So it's really hard. And because it's a story, yes, sure. There are always these moments he wanted to give it to her, and the moment is a real bad one. Somebody comes on, the mobile rings, and whatever. So he did get the chance. But then on the very baddest moment ever, the nut fell out. And it fell on the floor, and Layla is looking at the nut, looking at Max, and said, this is my walnut. How long do you have my walnut in your pocket? And then there are a lot of Arabic words coming over, and at last she said, you are not a friend. You are not a friend. And she's grabbing the walnut, running home, lying down in bed, and she's just crying, and didn't know what to say. Happy about the nut, and so sad about her friend. And in this, then she fell asleep, she's dreaming, and in this dream her granny is coming. And her granny says, come on, you can't lose me. I'm here. I'm still here. My garden is here. We are all in the garden. You can't miss us with or without walnut. And when she awakes, she takes the nut, takes her bike, goes over to Max, gives him the nut, and says, okay, if I ever have to go to Canada, keep the nut. It might remind you on me. But I can't lose my granny. I can't lose my memories. They are still here. And Max feels really like bad and fine in the same way. And then he runs around in a shed, picks up a shovel, gives the nut back to Layla and said, okay, here's the garden of my granny. So just let's find a nice place. And they walk around, decide here's a good place. Max digs a hole and the nut goes in. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Zuerst sehr süße Geschichte. I wanted to ask that does Layla look at Max as a friend? Still look at him as a friend?
Yes, sure. But it's like if you are disappointed of your friend, it always shows two sides, because he has the walnut in his pocket because he don't want to lose her. So it's the both sides. It's just giving it back to her because you are a friend, because you are honest, and on the other hand, there's your own heart saying, oh no, I don't want to lose her. So it's really he has to make a hard decision. And he tries sometimes to give it to her, but it's always went in the wrong situation. So yeah, that's the drama.